It's been about 2 weeks since we talked to you guys. We got the crew back today. Pretty excited to have them all back in the room, in studio. There's a lot to talk about. So before we get into it, let's get into our introduction. We'll start with my brother on the other end of the table. Ed, what's up, man?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yes.
You excited?
Yes, I'm glad to be back.
Glad to be back?
Yes, lots of things to talk about. A lot of injustices in the world.
You know, we might have to do a 2-hour show tonight. No, I don't know. But anyway, that's up to the. I don't want to interfere with everybody's schedule. We got a schedule that's locked in. Okay, and then we got our favorite person, at least one of our favorite people. I'm sorry, not discounting anybody else. One of our favorite people.
Hey there.
How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday. See, happy Sunday. Glad to have you here.
Well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Okay, and we have our other panelist, Sonia.
Hola.
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 See, she's been traveling. See, she
I
knows
have
different
been.
languages now. So.
You know, I've been in those border states, so hola.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know, so you know, I'm glad to have you guys back.
You have your papers? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know, we should have some engineer. She says a dual citizenship thing going on. You know what I'm saying? You got to see if she's really. But anyway, I can go there right now because I don't want nobody to come knocking on the door. So, I'm gonna say, did you do that? That was pretty good. That was
You're here for the front line.
Right over here.
I was gonna say this face down, y'all, face down. A lot to talk about, a lot to cover. There's been a lot of things happening the past 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But some of the latest stuff that's going on involves what's going on with the attorney generals around the country right now.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Starting with Daniel Cameron, the AG of Kentucky.
Yes.
Why is he important? Well, he's the one who put in the grand jury information for the possible murder of Breonna Taylor going on. The AG.
Did you say possible murder?
Well, they haven't.
He hasn't been charged with it.
No one's been charged with it.
But she was murdered.
Yes.
She's dead.
She's dead.
By police officers' gun.
cop.
Right.
Dead by cop.
Right.
Now, their duplicate, their immunity probably for defense. But Cameron's role of it as an AG, he took up the case when the shooting happened in March, and after 6 months of deliberation, he sent to the grand jury some information we do not know about. But
Definitely a watered down version
well,
of the facts.
we're waiting for the transcripts.
Okay.
What resulted in it is that the grand jury found one of the officers for shooting, was it wanton endangerment, for a different apartment that was not involved in Breonna Taylor.
Right.
It essentially said that the 2 cops that were also with them were not charged and justified in their role, which proves that the AG controls the narrative
Right.
on any case that comes up. I mean, his role is to, as an intersection between law and public policy,
Right.
is to decide what is best for the state with its people,
Right.
and what is just for all. He can do cases as far as health laws, as well as civics, whatever is a cop.
So what? So you mean the Attorney General has some say so over civilian law?
Yes.
Over what?
Well,
okay, explain that.
Well, not in the sense of somebody was wanted for like restitution.
Okay.
But
Well, that can become criminal.
it can become criminal.
Right.
But what they can do is anything involves state law.
Okay.
So did he have anything to do with her mom getting the 12 million?
No.
The AG.
No.
Okay. So that part is civil law.
That is civil. So he
yeah.
doesn't have anything to do with that.
Okay.
That's more correct.
Because it probably wouldn't happen if he
Correct.
did.
If he, yeah, I'm guessing.
So basically, in layman's terms,
Mhm.
basically he looks at a crime, and then he puts together all of the pieces and determines whether or not there's enough evidence there to present it to
A grand
a
jury.
grand jury,
Now.
who then
Mhm.
reviews the evidence and decides whether or not they think that there's enough evidence there to take it to trial.
Yes.
Probable cause.
Okay.
Correct.
Right. Okay.
So,
Assuming if it's a crime,
Correct.
they have to.
Right.
Like
Sure.
damaging drywall is a crime.
Yes, if it's under state law.
Yeah.
Right.
So he damaged that officer damaged some drywall.
And
So-
therefore he must pay the price of
restitution,
damage.
really? Restitution.
Well, he must go to jail for damaging someone else's property wantonly and possibly killing somebody.
Because it's based on property value, is it not?
Yes.
Okay, so it's based on the perceived value of the drywall.
Correct.
So how much time is he looking at?
He's looking at those three charges.
Okay.
Each one has an extension of 5 years, and it can be used concurrently. So.
And there were 4 charges?
Three.
3 charges, so
3
15
charges.
years.
Well, no, he can do it on top of each other concurrently.
But
So
the
5
judge
years.
can say consecutive.
Consecutive. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so before our show tonight, we had a discussion talking about whether the attorney generals have enough power, too much power, or should some be taken away. So I guess that's a question for everybody. What do you guys think?
I don't necessarily think they have too much power. I do think that they need to be more transparent. For instance, this deal with Daniel Cameron, we have no idea what he told the grand jury that would lead them to believe that we should charge somebody for wantonly shooting into this neighbor's apartment, but not that neighbor's apartment. And how about all the bullets in Brianna? And who she did not commit a crime. Nothing was ever found in her apartment, no drugs. You know, she had nothing to do with it. Apparently there was some confusion even as far as the order to do whether or not it was no knock or knock. So, you know, all of this information needs to go out because as the family's attorney Crump said, we have no idea, did he go in there on behalf of Breonna Taylor or on behalf of the police officers? Without a transcript, we don't know. And evidently he doesn't have to give us a transcript. We might not ever know. We also might not ever know the racial makeup of the grand jurors.
So you think it's racial?
Maybe.
But I thought that the makeup should be, well, I guess it would be in the police officers because they're the ones being accused, right?
Well,
So to be their peers.
could be, but you know, up here there's cops and black cops, so
Right.
you know, they could also they have the right to do something as their civil rights have been violated as well. That's the attorney general's, I guess,
That's their authority.
authority to decide if it was violated.
Okay, so back to the question. Did anybody else have a response about that? Do you think they have too much power or not enough, or?
I think they have too much power unilaterally because they decide what goes and what doesn't go. So let's take, for example, a sexual crime.
Right.
I think it was in California. There was swimmer Brock Turner.
Okay.
He raped somebody in the back alley.
Mm-hmm.
There was a judge who decided that the punishment shouldn't be there because he was too young. He had much potential. And as far as the AG is concerned, they can decide if this person should be charged with crime. So they could take instead of interpreting what the state rules are,
Right.
they can take what they've known themselves growing up, their surroundings, and determine whoever gets in front of a grand jury.
Right.
You know, they determine what laws are shown to them
Mm-hmm.
and if they should be shown or not. So that kind of power, and they don't have to even show why they're doing it.
Right.
You know, it could be some political pressure, or they could have some friend tied to them. Daniel Cameron is a protege of Mitch McConnell,
Yep.
the Senate Majority Leader.
I was surprised when you said that.
Yeah, so there is some political tie into this, you know, as far as because the police unions could be paying for Cameron's re-election,
Right.
or they may have paid for it, or they paid into Mitch McConnell's re-election, and so you know they don't want any Russell Brothers into police.
So how can? Oh, it's a whole different thing. Sonia, you have a comment?
Yeah, I was going to say that I too think that they have too much power, but it's because of the lack of transparency.
Okay.
I feel like all of the evidence should be given straight to the grand jury to bypass that whole AG process. That his role should only be to gather the evidence that's presented. And all of the evidence needs to be presented, not piecemeal, not pieces this, that. Everything that he has, all body cam footage, any evidence that's collected at the scene of the crime, all of that should be presented with no prejudice one way or the other in terms of how you look at that evidence.
So they should be the ones collecting information
Absolutely.
and make sure it's translated
Yes.
so the grand jury can see it.
Yes.
Because the grand jury just prosecutes on whatever's presented to them anyway.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And what happens then is that your AG then filters what goes to the grand jury. Well,
Right.
if he's filtering, then he may be, there's a bias there.
Right.
There's going to be a bias in that filtering. And so, yes, that's way too much power.
That happened in New York with the 5 men that was
Mhm.
accused
Yes.
The
of
Central
raping
Park,
and
Central
such.
Park.
Yeah, same
Yes.
thing happened where the
Yes.
Attorney General decided what the grand jury was going to see.
Right.
Correct.
So let me ask you this, just playing devil's advocate for a second. Is it possible that the Attorney General only presented to the grand jury what he felt would stick?
I mean, that's going to be his excuse, I'm sure.
Right.
But as we've said, he's a protege of McConnell, so he probably, because of that slant,
Right.
presented what he thought would make sure that he would get the type of ruling from the
Right.
grand jury that he wanted.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like George Floyd,
mm,
the Attorney General, Keith Ellison, former congressman in Minnesota, is now the Attorney General. He
Is he
going back.
recusing himself or he's
No, he is the one that's determined what type of charge would stick
right,
with those cops.
Okay.
right,
And just going back to what Sonia said,
right.
you know, he determined if it was, you know, homicide or manslaughter.
Right.
They determine the level so they can determine what sticks.
Right.
I mean, that's sometimes people use that
Right.
instead of just throwing out, you know, it's first degree murder.
Mm-hmm.
So
So how do you? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Well, it kind of makes me wonder too. Like you've got two attorney generals that are looking at what's going to stick and what's not.
Right.
Cameron doesn't seem to want to make anything stick, and that is troublesome as well. And then also got to wonder, what about qualifications for an AG? Like, should there be some requirements? Maybe not just power, because I'm looking at his biography. He just graduated in 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, he joined a law firm in 2017. He was legal counsel to Senator Mitch McConnell from 2015 to 2017. So I don't even know if he actually even tried a case or anything. I mean, do we really even know what his qualifications are? It could just be that he doesn't know how to manage a case, and that's why what he sent to the grand jury was crap.
Well, he represents the entire state.
Yeah, he does.
Yes.
How
So
did
he
he
has
get
everything,
there?
and all these other local attorney generals report to him.
Right.
So he has a say so on everything.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
being an elected official, there should be some state law to have some level of provisions before you even get on the ballot. If you qualify now, instead of just having a law degree in the state itself.
So that could be a segue as to why they're presidential candidates on the ballot when we all know they shouldn't be. So let me ask you. Go ahead.
Before you do,
Yes.
I do want to bring up a situation where somebody voting, where voting mattered, in the DA, in this case, Dallas County DA.
Okay.
There was a Republican that was appointed by the governor named Faye Johnson. The reason that name comes to point, that was the shooting of Botham Jean, and the cop that jumped in his apartment and shot him dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So she took the case. She's the one who led the case to the grand jury and gave the charges there. In the middle of that, she was during an election. She lost the election, and
Right.
therefore the Democrat took over and finished the trial based on the charges that had already been submitted to the grand jury. The DA of moving forward was responsible how the court case went on,
Right.
and he almost made an error himself during the whole situation, almost throwing it out.
Right.
But the point is, your vote, you still have a play. People have a play in the voting process
Right.
of the AGs, DAs, and stuff like that. I was just trying to put up an example.
No, I get it.
Your
Yeah.
voice still matters of who comes in,
Right.
and everybody should check out whoever is on the ballot, what their credentials are. Just like Cameron didn't have any.
Right. So going back to what Sonia said, and I think that's what I agree with 100%. I haven't even thought about that piece though. That they should present everything, no matter what, right, to the grand jury and let the grand jury decide based on all the information they have.
Right.
Is there any way, you guys, do you think that we can tend to take the politics out of these positions because it's all political? If the person's elected, you would think that they represent the people, but it seems like in this day and age, politicians actually represent the people that help them get there, which outside of the vote is based on appointments.
Yeah.
So so it seems like this whole old boy network thing, it's either still alive or resurging, or it's just like, is anybody really true to their job?
Is there any integrity in it?
Any integrity in the job? And I think the lack of integrity has become the norm.
I don't know that it's resurging. I think it's always been there. I think it's just being uncovered.
Because there was no accountability. They
Yeah.
were unchecked.
So right now there's no accountability where there was.
There wasn't any. I mean,
Never, ever.
Well, to
Not
the people.
unless there was like really gross,
Yeah.
misconduct or, issues. But
So let me ask you guys something. If say McCain was still alive, I think we just talked about this the other day. If McCain was still alive, do you feel that there were certain things? Well, put like this now, with this decision right now being decided to appoint this new Supreme Court justice, you think he'd have went against McConnell?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
He would have.
Because I was thinking maybe Romney would. Now Romney said that he didn't say that he agrees with what they're doing. He said that he felt that
the process should go through.
The process should go through because he thinks that it should be a conservative justice.
Mitt Romney is the Jeff Flake of Susan Collins. He just they just so wishy-washy.
That's good.
They just
That's good. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah.
That's good.
they're flaky.
So now you got to tell us who Susan Collins is.
She's the senator of Maine.
She's on the way out.
She's up for election.
She's on the
up
way
there.
out. Right.
She's concerned one.
She's concerned.
She's always concerned.
she's always like gonna go with the Democrats right up until time to do it, and then she says no. She waffles every
Really?
time. Yeah. And I think she does it for attention a little bit. Then she can see what the Democrats are gonna do for her. But typically, every time after she goes with the Republicans, then her city gets something or she gets something. So I think she holds out so that she can get more. So
that's a political play there.
yeah. So in that respect, she is serving her constituency, I guess. But
So she's
don't
up
like
for
how she does
re-election.
it.
Who's running against her?
I believe she's the Secretary of State of Maine, currently the Secretary of State of
Okay.
Maine,
Republican or Democrat?
Democrat.
it's not looking good for Susan Collins either.
No, they're hating.
They're done with
They're
her.
tired
They're
of
so
her.
done with her. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So let's talk about, and we're probably jumping way ahead. I know okay. I'm going to touch on this because I think it's important. We have the debate coming up on Tuesday, and I'm hoping everybody who's actually tuning in to us will tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So
It's a 90-minute debate.
90-minute debate. It's all time. It's
It's
held
gonna be
by.
action packed.
It's been commentated by
Chris Wallace.
Chris Wallace from Fox News, right?
Yes.
Which he seemed to be pretty phased, old school, but he's not afraid to actually go in and ask the hard questions,
Yeah.
which is good for both of them because we all want to know how to handle the hard questions.
Right.
How do you think Trump and Biden will fare out in this thing? Interview.
I don't think it's going to change anybody's minds. I think Trump is going to be Trump,
Right.
and Biden's going to try to stick to the issues, but
Right.
Trump is going to throw all the personal barbs that he can and just be Trump. And his people are going to be happy and feel like they won,
Right.
and Biden's people are going to be happy and feel like he won.
Okay.
I think Trump will do a lot of theatrics. I mean, he won't be able to stalk him like Hillary Clinton.
Right.
Um,
He might. He might. I mean, it's not the town hall
Yeah.
type of debate, right?
No.
no,
Okay,
it's,
so-
it's you stay on one side.
I think
you
that's
stay
the
on other
third
side.
one. Yeah, I think it's the third one.
In fact, there'll probably be a
Yeah.
socially distant debate.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right. No people in the crowd.
Yeah, exactly. So there's no like moo ha, cheering and boom. Thank
Okay.
goodness. But I think Trump will probably try to play the whole hits.
Right.
Try to say Biden's a creeper.
Mhm.
Try to say he's against black people. Try to say he's not mentally fit for the job, and he'll try to lead Chris Wallace to stay on those topics, opposed to the topics that Chris Wallace has in hand.
You guys have a list of the topics?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You guys want to talk about those?
Sure. The 6 topics. We'll start with the first one. Their records is the first one.
okay.
The records of President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden.
Wow, that really should flip some ideas. That should flip some
Well,
people.
So
right
40
there.
years
But
against
what's
40
a vice
years.
president do? Like,
I mean, but as a senator,
Yeah.
30 some years
yeah,
as a
yeah.
senator.
Yeah.
As a
You know,
senator, yeah.
And some of those can hurt him too.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to the crime bill in the 90s.
I was gonna say, but
And Anita Hill.
as VP, he also was like the great negotiator.
Right.
Mhm.
He is the one who actually got
Yeah.
the parties together, and he's the one who went across the aisle, and he's one of the key reasons why the ACA, the Affordable Care
Right.
Act,
Mhm.
that
Right.
it actually did pass, because
True.
he did work the other side of the aisle to make sure that he got those votes.
So a real negotiator against a phony negotiator.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
And
Trump was a negotiator.
well,
Mm.
I'm
if,
sorry, go ahead.
if Biden is smart,
Yeah.
he will hit on his record with COVID.
Yes.
And he'll
he'll
hammer
stay on
in,
that.
and he'll stay on that, and stay on that, and stay on that, if
Yeah.
he's smart.
Mhm.
I think, and it depends on how much time they got, how much rebuttal they had going back and forth.
Right.
You can start with the very first thing Trump did when he first came in office.
Mhm.
He separated them kids from them families,
He
from them
did. Put
parents,
him in the
Yeah.
cages
at the border,
Mhm.
which was wrong. So,
Right.
I mean,
but
they,
that won't stick. That won't stick.
And he'll also throw back, well, Obama separated families too, and Obama also put
But he
people in
didn't separate
detention.
children.
he didn't separate
Which is
children
very
from their
different.
families.
Right.
It is very different, but
Yeah.
Trump will not
Very
present it that way.
Right.
And unless we have like live fact checking going on.
I think there
Which
is
is
going to be
what-
some
No.
fact
Is
checking.
that-
Huh?
they've
the
asked
commission,
for it,
the
yeah.
commission, the commission who are responsible for these debates, they're not going to do live fact check. They're not going to ask the moderator to do live fact check.
But different channels are doing it.
Right.
So there will be some live fact checking,
Right.
because
And
I would-
MSNBC will be live fact checking.
I would not put it past
Right.
Chris Wallace to live fact check either. If he knows
Right,
for
if
a
he
fact,
knows. With his
I would
rebuttal
not put it
questions.
past
Yes.
him to challenge any lies. Because
Absolutely.
he's hardball. He
Right.
won't go easy on either one of them. And we've already seen him not go easy on Trump
Right.
in that interview.
Do you think Biden would be tough enough in this debate?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's already in his past. He's already debated crazy people.
Mhm.
He's debated against Sarah Palin, the
Right.
precursor to Trump.
Oh
This is
yeah,
true.
I
Yes,
forgot
he
about
did.
that.
That was easy though.
So-
Either one of us could have went against her.
Well,
This is true.
but still, he always knows he knows how to deal with theatrics.
Right.
Yes.
So, that's out the window.
Yeah, because remember she charmed him at the start. She was like, "Can I call you Joe?"
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then she was just waiting for that. Say it ain't so, Joe.
Right.
Yeah.
For some
totally
reason,
remember
it
that
sounds just
one.
like it for a second. Wow.
I
Okay.
totally remember that.
All right.
Michelle is
So,
on her
topic
cell
number
phone
two.
impersonation.
Topic number two.
Topic number two.
The Supreme Court.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Which is another. Okay. So we were at the end of a presidential term. We actually had 10 months in a presidential term when we lost a Supreme Court justice, and you guys wouldn't let us,
Anthony Scalia.
right.
But see, they'll blame that on the Senate. Trump will blame that on the Senate. I wasn't the president at the time, so it had nothing to do with
It
me.
doesn't matter. A president was set.
Right?
So,
But
if
think
it
if
was-
you were him, when you argued, well, hold up, that had nothing to do with me.
It doesn't have anything to do with you, right? But a precedent was set, which means
Right.
that you need to follow the same precedent.
Well, here's the thing, though, and here's the argument that they're going to throw back is that it is also the president's job
To
to
nominate.
come up with a nominee.
In a timely fashion.
In
In
a
a timely
time,
fashion.
and that's the key.
Right.
And
So
timing.
so they're putting all the COVID stuff, which
Right.
is current, they're putting all of that off to the side and
Okay,
not
but-
addressing that.
How many articles do you have sitting on your desk
Mhm. How
waiting
many
to
other
be
things?
addressed?
395.
Exactly.
bills
You have
that were sent.
395 bills sitting on the desk of the Senate that is being ignored.
Mhm.
And so, but you can push all of that to the side. And let's talk about what those bills are and how important they are.
Now, as the president, I said that's the Senate's problem.
Right, that's the
Now,
Senate's problem.
now
right.
what Biden can go back to is like, well, we have these other issues,
Correct.
but you're in a rush to do this Supreme Court nominee.
Right.
Right.
You've already brought in two.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right.
We do have a lot of people unemployed. We have people about to lose their houses. He could keep coming back to that.
Mm-hmm. Things
Coming
that
back
are
to
much
this-
more important.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he can just take it off the Senate, Supreme
Mhm.
Court.
Right.
He only because they're going to try to talk. Trump is probably say, well, where's your list? And then
Right.
Biden will have to get off that topic
Right.
and say, bring it back to COVID. Biden's gonna try his best to get as much away from the Supreme Court decision
Mm-hmm.
and back to COVID.
COVID.
Yeah.
Right.
all
And
the time.
prioritize
Right.
what the needs of
These
the
are-
nation
Right.
are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because right now we don't need
A Supreme
a
Court
Supreme
justice.
Court
Yeah.
justice.
Well, it can wait.
Yeah, it can wait.
It can wait. We can go with 8 right now.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Next
Topic
one.
3, COVID-19.
Ooh,
That was a complete failure.
It is
total and
complete
complete
failure.
200,000 people.
over
It's like 220
200,000.
now.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Yes.
And over
And what
7
number are we
million.
as far as nations in the world? Are we number 1?
I think we are right now.
We
Per
are
capita. Per
Per
capita.
capita.
We
Yeah.
are number
Per
1.
capita.
Combined.
And
In
let's
deaths
explain.
and per
Let's
capita.
explain to Twiddler what per capita means,
Yeah,
because
'cause-
he obviously
He is
does
not-
not
Break it down.
understand.
Do it, do
Yeah.
it, do it, do it.
Okay, per capita means that you're actually looking at total population and percentages of your total population. So when you compare yourself to smaller country,
Spain.
Spain, Italy.
okay,
Or Italy, yeah.
and you say that, well, we have more cases than them, but we also have, it's about the cases, it's about this, no. When you compare yourself to Spain and you say Spain has 200 people, but only, 5 of them have coronavirus,
Right.
then per capita, they're doing a hell of a lot better than you are with how many millions of people do we have here?
So we have
Right.
330 million.
330 million, and then of
And
the 330
We
million,
had 7 million that were confirmed.
7 million confirmed.
Over 200,000
Correct.
deaths.
200,000 deaths. So what
That's-
percentage of
That's
that?
close to 10%.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even if he
That's
doesn't
per
understand per
capita.
capita, he did understand back when it first came out. Like he knew well
Oh,
before.
Yeah.
So he knew all along, and that's another thing that Biden can bring out is that
Oh.
we know that you knew.
Right.
Yes, and it was through the audio of Bob Woodward's tapes.
Correct.
Right. So he was well aware, and he still was not looking out for the good of the country.
But in his
still-
argument is that I was trying to downplay it because I didn't want to start a national panic.
But you also knew how treacherous it was going to be because you even stated that. You said, this is going to be devastating. So if you know that this is going to be devastating, why were you not prepared? Why were you not sharing that information with those in a position who needed to know that it was going to be at this level?
And why did you deflect and try to blame the previous president?
Correct.
When
and
you
why not
eliminated
defer
people-
to the scientists?
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And he kept referring to H1N1, the swine flu, which only killed 20,000 people
Right.
in a longer term.
Was it that many?
Time.
In the States?
No,
Or
I'm sorry,
just
12
worldwide?
I'm sorry, 12,000 people in a multiple year situation.
And H1N1
Okay.
had a cure.
They had a vaccine for that.
Yes.
There's a vaccine for
Okay.
that. Yes.
Wow. And then you can also go to the Ebola, where I think only 3 people died here in the
Correct.
States, right?
Mhm.
Right. That is correct.
So it
Yeah.
was handled, it was corrected, and then right after that, Obama actually put someone in China
Right.
and a few, I think, in Africa,
Yes.
Hmm.
to see it before it happens, so they
Yes.
can alert the United States, and then they
Right.
can send the CDC or whoever.
They had a playbook
Playbook.
that they presented to the Trump administration, which they
That's right.
threw away or
Or
whatever.
ignored or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know,
And what's number 4?
Yes. The economy.
So, okay. According to the polls, it's saying that Trump is leading Biden when it comes to the economy.
Correct.
We were just talking about this before the show.
yeah.
We know that that's a false reading
That is correct.
because there's still over 8 million people unemployed, right?
Correct.
There's still hundreds and thousands of people that are still applying every 2 weeks for
Correct.
unemployment. That's about how we know. And then there's still businesses, especially small businesses, still shutting down.
Correct.
Well, here's the narrative for Trump's concern is his economy. It's the best it ever was. You know, no. I'm just
Yeah.
saying that.
If you're
He's going
still-
to say that. No, not now. He's going to say that this virus was not my fault. We had the best economy, and I'm going to bring it right back.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because he's gonna hit on the old. You know, like somebody like back in the day, the old time I threw that touchdown.
Right.
You know, that's what he's
Glory
hanging on
days.
to back in February. We were all great,
Right.
you know, trying to ignore the present, trying to ignore what he had in front of him.
Right.
And Biden's probably going to like, look, you can talk about the past all you want. We're talking about now. People are still losing jobs. People still can't go back to work.
Businesses are
And those
still
jobs no
going
longer
under.
exist.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if Biden is smart, he'll also say, yeah, it was great because when we handed it off to you,
Unemployment is
going-
at 4.3%.
absolutely, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
So all you had to do is not mess it up.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Mhm.
right.
But
Yeah. And he,
And
because
here
it-
you go.
because of lack of Corona effort,
Right.
that's what happened. And it wasn't anything else.
Right.
Because Wall Street is still doing okay, right? But
Mhm.
that doesn't help the common man.
Right.
correct.
You know?
Right.
That's
Mainly for
correct.
large businesses, it's good for them.
Right.
You know,
Right.
I don't know how that impacts. Well, I guess it would, but I'm not sure exactly how that impacts our how we're matched with other nations like Europe and Asian nations and stuff like that. I'm sure it helps.
Right.
It hasn't put us in a situation where we're in a depression like it was in back in '08. So
It's getting there.
we're not. Well, is it? I think it's more stable than that right now. You know, even though unemployment and small businesses are losing their ground, I think that we're not like we were in '08. We're not in a recession like that because we see that the unemployment and everything is starting to bounce back slowly. But eventually, small businesses will pick up and start over again.
Right.
And I'm sure with the new administration, there'll be special loans and stuff where small business like us, we can get small loans to help us out through the process or to resurge
Well,
and bounce back.
They need to
But-
be made
right now-
available,
right
readily
this,
available.
Well, this week because there's no bill in front of you know.
Well,
There's airlines are losing employees. I mean, so
Right.
and I'm just saying that.
airlines has billions and billions of dollars where they can go and lobby in front of the president. They have people that can do this, so that's why they're able to get money.
Mhm.
Correct.
So
Right.
a small business, you think KMWi-Media can go and stand in front of the president? Hey, Mr. President, I need about $100,000. So I can hire some people that I can span and maybe, you know what I'm saying, do some great things for the community.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Well, and when you're talking about comparing where we are now to where we were in 2008, in 2008 we were the only country having issues with the economy,
And then it spilled over
and it is
because
right.
everything is all linked.
Yeah.
Right.
That is correct. But now everybody is starting on the same playing field, having the same issues because of COVID,
Yeah.
Right.
which makes it very different.
Because of one thing, does it
because of
completely
one
avoidable.
thing. So we're not seeing the value of the dollar
Right.
diminish because everybody's dollar is diminishing.
Speaking of the dollar, real quick, if you guys who are watching this, tune in on Thursday. This Thursday coming up, we have a show, Profit Propaganda. We have a gentleman on the show actually talking about that very thing. 7 p.m. KMWi-Media.com. So anyway,
Okay.
so 5.
Okay. Race and violence in our cities.
That's not a problem, is it?
I feel it's kind of coded. Race and violence.
And violence, correct.
Because they're
Wow.
gonna.
Who's violent?
Yeah.
Will definitely talk, you know. Because,
First of all, racism doesn't exist anymore.
okay.
It's gone. Okay?
Yes, because Obama was president and then it went away.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, we
black
know-
president.
We're post. Yeah,
we're free now.
Post racial.
We are,
We
yes.
know Trump is going to, you know, be pro-police,
Yes.
and that's going to be his response. You know,
Right.
that we need to take over the cities, and we need bigger police.
Just
and
like Russia.
he's going to accuse Biden
And
of
China.
wanting to defund the police.
He's
and
going to
be
accuse him as a
anti-police
socialist.
and being a socialist. So
Mhm.
that's what we're going to hear on his side.
Yes.
So, and Biden, of course, is going to talk about human rights, and he's going to approach it from a human rights perspective,
Right.
which will go completely over the
Yeah,
head of
because
Twitter.
Trump's gonna say this is the Biden's America.
Yes.
Well, yeah, you know, because, you know, he's in charge of everything.
But Biden is not for defunding police, is
No,
he?
he's
No,
not.
So,
absolutely
I mean,
not.
so
He is
Trump
not.
is going to accuse him of being that, and
Correct.
all Biden has to say is, no, no.
Well, he's accusing him of everything. He's accusing him of Corona because of
Right.
what the Obama administration did not do.
Right.
President Trump's in office 3 years when Corona hit. You know,
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
and he had the tools to do it if he had just listened instead of being stubborn.
Right.
Listen to his buddy McConnell and his
But
wife.
here's the tricky thing with Biden when it comes to defunding the police.
Right.
He's got to say no, he's not for defunding the police, but he also has got to bring in progressives saying we are trying to have a new understanding on how policing works.
Mhm.
He's got to make a tightrope.
Right.
He's got to tightrope the situation, which is going to be the tricky thing.
Correct.
Well, and then he also has that bill that Congress has passed in June.
Right.
You know, the Policing Act thing. I forgot what that is, but it's a lot of stuff that's lying in there that would help.
Mm-hmm.
You know, making certain things federal charges with police and take away some of that. What's that thing they have? Privilege, some type
Immunity or
Community.
Yeah.
immunity. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would eliminate that as well. And then for other officers, they're held accountable for not saying anything about those other officers that are committing dirt and committing crimes. So, but it's amongst the 395 that's sitting on McConnell's desk. Number 6.
Number 6 is.
It took too long. I think time down.
Drum roll.
It is. The integrity of the election.
Wow.
Yeah, that's huge.
Now, who was that came out and said, was he assistant attorney general said there was no fraud or something? Somebody's administration came out and said it about a week ago.
It was, this week.
This week, okay.
There's 2 things dealing with the integrity election.
Right.
The one statement came from the director of the FBI, Christopher
That's
Wray.
who it was,
That's it.
right.
Yes, he testified before Congress, and the Senate actually,
Right.
and said there is no evidence of widespread
That's what it was.
electoral fraud.
Yes.
Currently, the certain AGs are trying to prove that there is.
Right.
But that's a whole different ballgame there. But I was just trying to tie back there. But Christopher Wray said there's no widespread fraud going on. So, but however, Trump said this week voting is a scam, and he also is saying that if there's any transfer of power, if there's any transfer of power, he's not committing to violence. I mean, he's not saying there's no violence or will be violence. He's not saying one way or another.
Okay.
Once again saying that voting could be a scam with no evidence.
Right.
And so
Wow.
very well taking us voters being scared, is this election going to be right or wrong?
Wow.
Yeah, will my vote actually be counted?
Yeah.
And one of the interesting things though is he talks about all the corruption with mail-in ballots, and yet that is how he votes.
Florida been voting like that for years, hasn't it?
Yes.
Was it
Yes.
Florida? Washington State as well? Or I think it was another state.
Oregon, that's their thing, as well as Utah.
I was gonna say Utah.
Utah as well.
Utah. No
Yes.
fraud.
Colorado?
No fraud.
None.
Colorado in some parts.
So what do you think? Because he's kind of working against his own interests. Because if he's saying all this stuff, then some of his own supporters may feel that same fear. That why would I go out and vote if you're saying these things are happening?
Traditionally, Republicans always mail in votes.
Right.
But if he's saying now there's going to be some widespread fraud because it's new,
Yeah.
Right.
under his, because he's on the ballot.
Mhm.
And what's this thing? Somebody please answer this question. He's going around saying get rid of the ballots. Trump. What does that mean? Have you heard him? Ever heard him say that?
He's
said,
been saying that the ballot situation is all messed up.
right. So, but he's saying get rid of the ballots. So, what does that mean? Get rid of the ballots? I mean, no one should be. He feels
he
that he
wants
should
to be all
continue.
digital.
Just get rid of the election. Just
So-
get rid of the election, right?
So
So
we
he
can
can continue to be
appoint-
president.
He's trying to be a dictator, so
Yes.
he's acting like what a famous woman said, throwing shit at the wall and hoping something
See
sticks.
what
Right.
sticks.
Yeah.
So remember Schumer? I don't know if you guys saw it. I was watching C-SPAN this past week, but Schumer's actually saying, first of all, Mr. President, he said, Mr. President, you're not a dictator. You never will be a dictator in the United States. And there's no way in the world, and he's talking about the transition of power, which I think we should take up after our quick break. So, right now we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have facts and feelings. And before we do that, we want you guys to take a look at this wonderful promo video we see on the other side.
So you mean to tell me you're trying to turn yourself in because you know you're caught, and then the cops still walk past you because it's normal for them to see you with a gun? However, if it's me, I'm gonna get ran over, shot probably before I'm even able to raise up my hands.
The point is, if you can't accept that failure is the option, how can you shoot for the stars?
All my life, I've been light skinned. So
That's a very intimate position. That's old faithful. That's what I would call that.
It is.
That's old faithful. That's your mama, your daddy, your grandmama, her husband.
Everybody know
Your ancestors, your great, 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 great,
There's a
great.
delay.
this. You can't do nothing else. You right here. You looking right at each other. Right here. Looking
That
right
level.
But my mom was female, man.
Pineapples.
Pineapples it is.
Anytime somebody challenges you, you think they disrespectful.
If anybody, anytime somebody don't like your music or your style,
There she
they hate me and
is.
you disrespectful. So we don't really understand what that means.
Treat others how you want to be treated. I mean, just because somebody looks different on the outside, somebody has a mental health issue or anything like
Does
that.
not mean that they don't have to. Because they're probably smarter than you and probably kick
I'll
your
show it to you guys live after the
So with
show.
hood snacks, right?
He can't relate.
Listen, I can. My mom used to take me to the hood all the time.
If your digits are not tied to something that either produces or preserves productive energy, then there's a good chance that it is not in something that's actually really valuable.
All right, we are back. Gotta get the mics on. We are back, and we're gonna jump right into facts and feelings.
So, these last couple weeks have been pretty sad. We talked a couple weeks ago, and I'm still feeling some kind of way about this, and it is about the passing of our notorious RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, who I definitely have feelings about. And I'm just gonna, we exchanged a couple of texts Friday night, that Friday night. And I'm just gonna read what I said. A few things have changed, but for the most part, here it is. I feel sad, gutted, and even more worried about the fate of our nation. Our scorched earth shithole of a president, yes, I said that, just got a package of kindling, gasoline, and a lighter. And Mitch the bitch will help him ignite it. Can you imagine the setbacks if Ted Cruz or some other crazy gets the seat? I will pass on what else I said.
Give it to us. Give it to us. We want to know.
Fuck. So anyway, so we do know that it's not going to be Ted Cruz. So there is that. But there was one other feeling that I want to throw out there too. And that is a feeling of just this huge level of gratitude for RBG and everything that she did for the United States. Her entire career has been about service. Mm-hmm. You know, she has been fighting had been fighting cancer since 1999, and she continued the fight. She died at 87. She worked from a hospital bed. You know, I feel some kind of way. I'm so grateful for all that she did, because anybody else would have said, you know what, it's my pancreas and my lungs this time. You know what, screw y'all, peace out. I'm gonna spend some time with my family. She stayed at work right up until the very end.
She broke her hip at one point too.
Mm-hmm.
Was it ribs or hip?
She broke a rib and
I don't think both.
Yeah. So she's one that gave her life for the good of the United States of America. She is a true hero, and I have nothing but gratitude for RBG. She is a hero to me, and that's how I feel.
Okay, here are the facts about the passing of RBG. Right now, the justices, the count would be, is 3 and 5. 3 Democratic justices and 5 Republican justices. So the balance of power is heavily weighted on the Republican side. In addition to that, with this newest appointment, that then would make the count 6 and 3. So there is not even a slight chance in hell that any of the current policies from the Democratic side will be favored. The two key areas that we really have to be concerned about are, first of all, the Affordable Care Act, and primarily with what they do with Medicare. And so seniors should really be concerned about what's going to happen in that particular area. And then the other area is in women's rights and women's issues. We know that it has been pretty much just a goal of the Republican Party to overthrow Roe v. Wade. And we know that RBG has been standing, flat-footed, making sure that that does not happen. Mm-hmm. So we really need to be concerned as women, as individuals who care about the rights of women, because it's not going to be pretty. And the person who has been suggested to replace RBG, Miss Barrett, she is considered to be very religious, And so she always, well, she has spoken on numerous occasions about the importance of her Catholic faith.
Mm-hmm.
So we know where she is going to stand on the Roe v. Wade ruling. Now, what we can hope for is the fact that Roe v. Wade, as a decision, and when it was written, that the way that it is written, that it is rock solid in terms of judicial argument.
Mm-hmm.
And if our judges are truly constitutional judges, and if they truly look at the letter of the law, then we can hope that in looking at that and looking at the previous decisions, that they basically see that the way it's written, that it is the law of the land and that it cannot be changed. But
so what's the worst case scenario? Like, does it go back to the states, or?
Worst case scenario, yes, that it will go back, that they'll push it back down and say it becomes a state by state decision.
Well, isn't it like that now? Don't the states like Texas pretty much almost, Alabama pretty much abolished
It's very hard to get one. So
Okay.
didn't they put all of these requirements on doctors that give abortion. So
Right.
if you don't
Correct.
have the ability to, or rights to hospital,
Correct.
then you can't do it. So basically only women who, have money have the
Right.
means. And really if abortion was made illegal tomorrow for everyone, they'd
Right.
still happen.
They
If
would.
you got money, it's still going to happen.
Correct. Illegal.
They've always been,
Always been.
yeah.
It'll just
But-
be illegal. And the other thing is that there won't be funding for institutions like Planned Parenthood,
Right.
because Planned Parenthood conducts abortions. That's not all that they do.
Yeah, they
do
do
a
so much
very
more.
small percentage of
Mammograms
what
and
they
everything
do.
else, right?
Mhm.
Correct. And
And health care
abortion
for men.
and abortion
Right.
funding is a very small percentage of what they get. There's so many private donors. When all of this started and it looked like that they were going to start defunding Planned Parenthood in certain states, private donors stepped up and started sending their money, their contributions, to make sure that the other services that Planned Parenthood takes care of, that those did not cease.
Yeah. Now, you mentioned those two things,
Mhm.
but there's one other thing that I'm thinking about too, and this has me feeling some way. Okay. The integrity of the election.
Yes.
And
True. Yeah.
Voting.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Voting
The
rights.
election. That is
yeah,
correct.
like
Voting
what
rights.
happens if that goes to the Supreme Court? Is he trying to
Correct.
stack the deck? Twitler, that is.
Well, you brought up something I was thinking about. I'm going to ask all you guys. Now, there's been some talk by some news panelists that Congress would try to stack the deck in the Supreme Court,
Yes.
like move it up to 11,
Correct.
during the Biden administration.
Right.
The question is if those other things, which is going to take a long time to reverse those other things, right? So it was proposed, it's brought before the Supreme Court, Roe v. Wade,
Yes.
the election, voting rights,
Voting rights.
plus, what was the other one? The three things you
The
mentioned.
Affordable Care.
Affordable Care Act.
Correct.
Those things are going to take a while because remember the Republicans have gone 63 times before the Supreme Court and they couldn't
Right.
change it,
Correct.
mainly because they didn't have enough votes,
Correct.
right?
Right.
But if there is a change in the Supreme Court, let's say, because I'm sure that they nominate a couple people, the Democrats nominate a couple people, or Biden nominates a couple people,
Right.
they're going to push to get them through, which is going to hold things up in the court,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's going to hold things up as far as changing laws.
Right.
I think it's possible if they stack the deck that a lot of those things won't go away.
It takes time though.
Yeah, it takes time, but also takes time to change a law, to reverse a law.
Yeah.
Look at how much time it took to, well, actually, I'm going to say create one. It was like when they created the 13th Amendment, 14th and 15th. It took a while.
Speaking of the 14th Amendment, this
Right.
originalist
Right.
judge is being an originalist. They feel like it should be. They look at the Constitution on intent opposed to meaning,
Right.
and so in the intent of the Constitution, they don't consider the 14th Amendment real. As far
They
as
go back
That's the one that
They go
gave
back
us
to the
citizenship.
fourth.
Exactly. And so,
Right.
yes. So this
Yeah,
new
amendments
justice,
mean nothing to
so this,
her.
Yeah. So this justice has a philosophy of that.
She might be the only one on the bench that feel that way. Honestly, I mean, she may be. I know the other ones have been appointed by Republican presidents,
Right.
but I think if she feels that strong about the 14th Amendment,
Yeah.
I believe she's the only one.
You don't think?
And
Alito?
I think just no.
Okay.
No, I think that Justice Roberts,
Mhm.
Chief Justice,
Yeah.
will argue, just like this last thing that he convinced Kavanaugh
Right.
to vote.
Sure.
What was that?
Right.
What was that thing that they voted on a couple months ago?
Whether what was it because the president be charged or
No,
charged with
I
crime?
don't think that was it. I forgot what it was. But whatever it was, because Justice Roberts said, I want to have a fair court. So regardless of what those other ideologies are,
Right.
you need to follow the law.
They're
the law says
they're
this.
constitutionalists.
If you're a constitutionalist, then the 14th Amendment is already law.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Affordable Care Act is already law.
Correct.
If anything, you send it back and say, hey, fix it first.
Right.
Because that was what the argument was when Obama was in office.
Yeah.
Right.
Just fix it.
Right.
These things are not complete, so they didn't overturn it. Yeah, it didn't have enough votes, but I'm hoping that some of these opinions will come back if they try to push that. You know, that's what the Senator McConnell's going to try to do.
And
Right.
you know, and we don't know what kind of what cases are currently up the stream
Right.
because the Supreme Court, well, Chief Justice Roberts decides who.
He's the AG for the court, right?
Yeah, he
what's
decides what shows. Yeah, exactly. He's the AG for the courts. He
Right.
decides what shows up and
Right.
what
And
gets turned back
Mhm.
to like previous appeals court law.
And remember, he's watching the news.
Yeah,
He's hearing everything that's
knows.
going on.
Right.
And also, he also, if he's a person who I think he is, that really believe in Ruth Bader Ginsburg, he knew what her wishes were, what she was fighting all her career.
Right.
I doubt if they're going to let McConnell.
Come
He's going to
in
let
there.
McConnell and Trump come in and change all of that, just dismiss her legacy altogether.
Right.
Well,
I
he's
don't
also
think we're-
worried about his legacy too.
Well, absolutely.
So
I don't
Exactly.
think we're in that much trouble yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think when it came to certain other things, but these are two big ticket items. I just maybe just me being overly optimistic, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I think the media is playing a lot into this thing. They're making us feel like, oh my God, we should be afraid of this. Oh, they're gonna try to change law. All black people become slaves again. They say that enough times, people start to believe it. So it's like, forget the 13th Amendment. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So I think that we should just sit back, do our job, because the only thing we can do right now is vote, which is our last segue.
Yeah.
Voting. Okay, let me ask that question that almost every president has asked, and you hear Trump talking about it now. Is this the most important election in our lifetimes?
Absolutely.
Why?
Yes.
Why? What's at stake?
Well, the last election, former President Obama said everything's on the table. Your your freedoms are on the table. Basically, he put it out there.
Yep.
And now it's real.
Well, speculation then.
Yeah,
Now it's
speculation. Now it's on the table. Now
So he had a vision. He saw it.
Like immigration's on the table.
Immigration. Voting rights.
Voting rights on
Democracy.
the table.
Democracy is on the
Yes.
table.
Yeah, we can just get rid of the election altogether.
Right.
Put it
Our
in
country
Trump.
is so polarized. Like you're on one side or the other, and we need someone that's going to bring us back together.
Yeah.
I mean, there was one point where Trump said it's going to take something really, really bad to bring us all together, and we've had
He was
whole
it.
lot.
He was it. He's bringing everybody together.
He hasn't
Thank
yet.
God he did something right.
He hasn't yet because his followers are still out there,
Yeah.
and we've had some really bad shit go down, and people are still polarized.
Yeah.
Taking up more weapons. I mean, the hate crimes are raised.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Either way the election goes, I'm still a little bit nervous.
So, okay, let's ask that question. Who do you think is going to win the election and why? We asked this question, I asked Aya before the show, but I'm asking you now. You answer, please.
I want Biden to win.
No, but who do you
I
think
still
is gonna
have
win?
a fear that
You
he
fear
could,
what?
that Trump could win.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I just hear so many.
Why? Because you're hearing so much?
I hear so much. I see so much. Just on social media and see people, Trump, seeing them all on TV.
Mm-hmm.
They're willing to go out and risk their lives to go and see him.
Okay.
They don't believe that
They don't
COVID.
see it as risk their lives.
Right, they don't believe-
like they're patriots.
Right, and people just assume that minorities are not going to vote for him. He's got a whole lot of black supporters out there. I don't
have
know
as many
how
as
or
we
why.
think. He don't have as many as we think.
I hope not.
He doesn't. I mean, okay, Sonia,
I think Biden's going to win.
is that wishful thinking or something you know
No,
for sure?
I think Biden is going
Okay.
to win.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
When I look at the reaction, like you said, but primarily when RBG died and the number of people who took to the streets and the number of people who stood outside the Capitol building and booed the president.
That's the last thing to convince me.
that's
That was the nail in
when-
the coffin for me.
That was the nail in the coffin for me too.
Yep.
That was the nail in the coffin. You know, because his supporters, and we keep seeing this on television, but there's also a listing in Craigslist before every single rally that he has, paying people to be supporters.
Craigslist
Yeah.
still around?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know they were paying people because I know
Yes.
that I will totally sign up if he says he's going to be somewhere.
They are paying
$50
people.
in a bus trip.
Yeah, and they pay like $13 an hour or something like that.
I had no
you know.
idea I could
They
be
give
getting
you
paid
T-shirts
to
and signs.
fake go there.
And if you show up in your own shirt, they pay you more.
Works well with people unemployed.
Absolutely.
They ain't got to report it.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
I
So.
am not gonna be paraded out there for some bucks.
it's a free bus ride.
No.
You probably get sandwiches and a soda
My face will be on that screen holding up some Trump BS.
with a red and white hat.
Yeah, no.
So that's my answer, and that is why.
I do fake sign up for the rallies though.
You fake.
I fake sign up for the rallies.
Oh, I do that too.
Just so they think me and
We gotta
plus
do the
one.
background on her, just make sure, she might be undercover. Anyway,
No sir.
I'm sorry. Aya, who's gonna win?
I say
And why?
Biden.
Why?
I say Biden, but
Why?
because there's enough sensible people out in this country, enough. I didn't say there's a lot. So therefore, my concern is if Biden doesn't win in a landslide, this is going to take on even longer than 2000, where one state was in question,
Right.
and now we have multiple states who will be in question.
The tell-all is going to be this: early voting
Bing.
turnout.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
And the reason why I say that is because the number of registered Democrats is 2-1
Yep.
for
Yeah.
the Republican versus Republicans. So all we need is a large enough turnout,
Yep.
Yeah.
and Biden will win. And the evidence of that will be early voter turnout, and it'll be done at 10 o'clock.
yes, well, currently to make you
I'm
feel
voting day one.
better that
In person.
the states Michigan, Virginia, and I forgot one other state.
They already started.
Yeah, up to this point compared to 2016, there was about 10,000 people who voted.
Wow.
This year, it's
Is
almost
that total or per state?
total.
Oh, that's
Like up
Of
to
those-
this
of those
date,
states.
up to this date, 2016.
Right.
Up to this date now, for this year,
Oh.
it's 900,000
Wow.
See, okay.
people voting early. Early voting. Yes.
Now-
early voting.
Okay, I'm gonna stick to what I've said way back early part of this
You
year.
said it would be a landslide.
It's gonna be a landslide. Because I think that, he's empowered so many people to come out and vote. People who were not interested in politics are now interested.
Correct.
There are a lot of very, very smart and informed and enlightened people in the United States, right? 2016 was a fluke. Period. This woman won by 3 million popular votes, but she lost the electoral college,
Right.
right?
Right.
So fine, everything at stake, right?
Right.
She should be on the ballot. She should be on the ballot. I'm still a Clinton supporter. I don't care what nobody say. I'm a Clinton supporter.
I'm with
That's
you.
my homie. But because Biden is the person that he is, with the level of experience, and the level of integrity,
Correct.
it is complete opposite of what Trump is.
Correct.
Trump has shown us who he is.
Yes.
What do y'all moms tell y'all when y'all younger? When that man show you who you are,
Believe
it.
it.
You know what I'm saying?
My
He showed us
Angela.
who he is.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what you tell your children now. So what I'm saying is, he showed us who he is. Why are there undecideds? I don't know. These undecided people have not been following the news.
Right.
They couldn't be, because there's no way in the world. To me, he told me when he first got inaugurated, when he passed that his first what's the thing called? His what's that thing he signed?
His
Executive order.
executive
His
order.
very first executive order told me he is definitely not the guy. When you heard Dave Chappelle saying, we just give him a chance. Give him a chance. Hopefully he did good. I don't understand what he meant. He got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah.
On what was it, SNL? So, but I knew what he meant. Yeah, and part of me was like, I gotta give him a chance because he's president. But that first executive order, I knew, nope, I was wrong.
And he signed it like the second day, right?
Second day. And he's waving around, everybody looking at it. Hey, look at this with his crazy ass signature. Anyway, so this is a good show, you guys. We crammed a lot in 1 hour,
Yep.
We did.
including a promo video, which I think is the first You know, hopefully we have some more. We are gonna have some more, according to our producer. We're gonna have more videos, promo videos talking about actually just highlighting who we are as a show, which I'm excited about that one.
Yes.
Cool.
And next week, we're
Yes.
gonna have a special guest.
That's right.
And it's importance of voting. You should tune in.
7:30 every Sunday. 7:30 Central Time. We'll see you guys next week. Good night and good luck. I think I heard somebody say it before. I'm plagiarizing.